When disaster strikes, will you be ready?
Good evening, and we begin tonight with the monster hurricane and its deadly impact already.
When all hope is gone, will the government be there for you? If you're looking for ways to take your prepping to the next level, then you've come to the right place. Broadcasting from a secure and well-prepared location, it's time for Prepping 2.0. And now, please welcome authors Glenn Tate and Shelby Gallagher.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Prepping 2.0. This is one of your hosts, Shelby Gallagher. I'm joined this morning by my partner in life and I want to say partner in crime, but then I don't want somebody to get all offended. But this is Glenn Tate. Hi, Glenn.
Good morning, dear. Hey, it's a great morning.
Yes.
We are here at the cabin, the real live cabin. We're going to have a big announcement about the cabin coming up, but every morning at the cabin is an amazing thing. I'm looking out at the water, the birds are chirping. This place means a lot to me. It's a big part of my life. I'm really, really pumped. So good morning, dear.
Good morning. And so for those of you who aren't aware, the cabin is the setting and the inspiration for Glenn Tate's 10-book series, 299 Days. So if you are like a 299 Days junkie, you know where we're at. And yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And I'm so blessed to be able to enjoy it. So speaking of books, I would like to make the announcement, if I can.
Fanfare. Fanfare. That was fanfare.
I'm so excited. My third book just was released on Amazon. And that is the third book to the A Great State series. It's A Great State, The Rescue. It's available on Amazon. If you want to go searching on Amazon, you can, or go to my website, agreatstate.com. All the links are there. And invariably, as soon as I put out this big announcement, you got to understand, folks, it is a lift to get this thing over the finish line. To Amazon, formatted, covers, all the dots dotted and all the I's eyed and all that. And then invariably, as soon as I say, yay, look, I did it, somebody's like, when's it going to be available on Audible? As soon as we can get it done on Audible. Yay, can you please congratulate me that we got it on paper and Kindle? Oh my gosh. Anyway, oh my gosh. So there you go. So the third book is out. Please go enjoy it. If you've enjoyed the first two, you'll definitely enjoy the third, and you'll enjoy where the characters go. And next on our list of things to talk about, you want to talk about Patreons.
Here's the big announcement about the cabin, y'alls. The cabin is we're renting it. We've upgraded it. We're Airbnb-ing it, and we're not letting the real world, the outside world, the general public know where it is, which would be dumb, because when we're going to be talking about Butch here and ammo and storage and stockpiles, let's just say don't smoke a cigarette in the basement. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's some stuff there is what I'm saying. And so we're going to let Patreon supporters, and these are the folks, patreon.com, look for Prepping 2.0. They support us with a little teeny monthly thing of like $2 to $20. It allows us to hire the awesome producer we have that makes this show really, really good. And I think it's a notch above many other podcasts that don't have a producer. It's just the way it is. And so it's like the difference between a garage band and like, you know, an album that's produced, right? So Patreons are going to be getting an announcement in a week or two about how to spend some time, some summer at the cabin, some winter, whenever you want to come out here. And we're not going to jack the rate up or anything like that. It's going to be this straight. We're just going to give you the Airbnb link is what we're going to do.
Right.
And Patreons, we feel like we can trust with the information, like where it is, the push pin on the map. So we feel good about that. So if you ever want to be, you know, at the real cabin and sit there and go, oh my goodness, he described this, and he has no creativity because it's actually exactly what the thing looks like.
Well, and that's what I want to add to that. If it is, we've talked about this, you and I, Glenn, if a Patreon rents it and it is within our schedule, we are happy to come from where we are, because we don't live here, and spend an afternoon or evening and take you around this area and show you where the yellow house is, show you where the Grange is, show you where the cemetery is, all those things that were inspirations to you as you wrote the book.
Exactly. So it's going to be fun, and you can walk down the stairs onto the saltwater beach, the Pebble Beach, and you can pick up oysters and you can walk upstairs and cook them on the barbecue. That's fresh food. You know, all the hippies are like, eat local. I don't know. How about eat oysters that are 25 yards away? How about that for eating local?
For free.
For free.
I know it kills us when Glenn and I go out and we go to restaurants and get oysters. It's like, wow.
Wow. There's There's $80 I'll never get back.
Exactly.
I'm a fun date. I'm like, what does this cost? No, I don't.
No, you don't do that. I will say this though, the Pebble Beach outside in front of the cabin also makes an appearance in book 3. There is the crossover of Pierce Point with the third book of my series, and so you'll see how I describe basically the beach here. Exactly.
It's going to be cool. Well, speaking of Patreons, and we're going to hurry it up because everyone wants to hear from Butch. They don't want to hear from us, and I respect that. Patreons get a lot of perks, and guys, they're coming. Shelby and I have been ridiculously busy, among other things, remodeling the cabin, right? It takes a little bit of effort.
Finishing a book, yeah,
there's that. Oh, we have day jobs. So there are a lot of perks that Patreons get. Depending on what level you're at, you get autographed books for free. And so those are coming out, guys. There's going to be the wine, the 17th of regulars bottle of wine. Here's another thing. My Peltors, my 2009 Peltors, my first Ear Pros. Well, they're not Peltors or Howard Lights, but whatever. My Ear Pro that I joined the team with and did all this stuff, and it's like a big part of my life. It was like the first, prepper purchase I made. Pretty much was this Ear Pro. They've crapped out electronically.
That's an official term.
That's right. Yeah, I don't want to get into technical details, but yeah. And we're gonna have the team sign the Ear Pro. And we're going to just give it away. We're going to not raffle it off, but like a Patreon, and we select you at random, higher the level.
Do a drawing. We're going to do a drawing.
Send that out. And then you Patreons will be getting a Patreon message about this. I'm going to send out an email to all of you guys, and you can give me your mailing addresses if you want to. If you don't want to, that's cool. And we're going to send you out some of our stickers for free because we appreciate Patreons. Patiently awaiting the collapse. Those are our stickers. And that's what they say, patiently awaiting the collapse, because we're all patiently awaiting the collapse. And so that is a great intro, Shelby, into...
What's in the merch shack?
Very cool. What's in the merch shack? You just heard quite a bit of it. Patiently awaiting the collapse stickers. We've had a lot of fun with these. People have been sending us pictures of these stickers on their trucks, on their cars, on their refrigerators, on their mugs, on their hamsters, kidding, and they're fun. They're so fun. And I really appreciated those of you who have downloaded the Kindle book of my third book this week, Pictures with Patiently Awaiting the Collapse, with their Kindle reader right next to it. It's been very cool. So in the merch shack, honestly, as those stickers some more, I do want to just remind people, we have updated the inventory on our I Miss America t-shirts and hoodies. So many people have said to us in the past, oh, you don't have my size. I guarantee you we probably do now, except for women's smalls. Those sold like once a year, so we don't have those. So go for it. We also have the I Miss America 30 round AK, not AK, that was last week, AR mags. Oh my gosh. So there you go. We still have a bunch of those. We have some really cool merchandise. And so that leads us into the next event we're going to be at, where we are going to haul all this merchandise to. And that's in September.
The Panhandle Preparedness Expo, September 21st and 22nd in Sandpoint, Idaho. Come on out. It's going to be fun. We're trying to get as many folks there as possible from all over the West. I mean, if you come from other places, that's cool too. People want to hear from Butch, so let's cover another couple topics, and that is really quickly, what is item number 29, Shelby, on our list of 100 things that go quickest in a crisis?
Number 29 is odd too. It's garbage bags. You'll need garbage bags during a collapse, apparently, based on the experience of people who've been through a collapse. Garbage bags, the big 55-gallon ones that go, so stock up on them. Those are something that go on sale a lot.
Yeah, and those contractor strength ones are actually pretty tough. You can like a big bag of those full of I don't know, maybe some people have been decapitated. I'm just saying. No, I shouldn't even talk.
It is not for yard debris.
No.
During a collapse, it is very practical. It's not just for carrying garbage and carrying things. It's for taking it apart, using it as a tarp. That's the multi-use thing. So yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get to Butch here in just a minute. I wanted to give folks a incredibly quick overview of this topic, not of the topic, but why Butch is on. Here's the thing. He's going to talk. He's in the ammo business, and he's got a lot of important things to say. But he's going to keep this on the level of how this all applies to preppers. Because what Shelby and I were talking about this before the show, what I hate is you listen to a podcast, it's all this technical stuff. It's like, oh, what kind of connector is that to the DC circuit? I mean, I don't care about that stuff. And so this is all going to apply to preppers and how all this applies to preppers. So I wanted you guys to know that. We're not going to geek out on the ballistic coefficiency of, a 243 Winchester. That's not what this is about. So with no further ado, I would like to welcome on Butch Becker of Ammo Supply Warehouse. Good morning, sir.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Great. Well, why don't you tell folks some of your background? I mean, who you work for and what you do.
I work for myself. I own Ammo Supply Warehouse with my business partner and like lifelong best friend of like 28, 29 years now. I went to school for engineering early on and mechanical engineering, and that lifestyle didn't really suit me so well. So after doing that for a number of years, like I think 10 or 12 years, I kind of got into owning my own businesses and doing different things other than just sitting in an office cubicle all day.
That'll add years to your life, by the way, not sitting in a cubicle if you can avoid it.
Yeah, it adds inches to your waistline too, because there's no shortages of bagels and goodies that everybody brings in. So yeah, I think the average is what you gain about 10 pounds a year working in an office. Yeah, it looked like I worked in an office for about 65 years.
Oh yeah, so and Ammo Supply Warehouse is the place to go. We love it. We suggest people go there. We'll talk about ammo prices a little bit and some myths about that when we get into the ammo business thing. But sure. I'll just jump to it, guys, a little bit. And that is this, guys. Do you remember your grandpa who would like drive around town all day long to like get gasoline for 1 penny a gallon less? And you're like, hey, Grandpa, how about you live a little? That afternoon that you spent saving, $3.50 seems kind of dumb. I don't know. Maybe this is based on a true story for me in my life. But guys, you can save a penny a case or a round or whatever out there, but you need to buy from patriots. You need to buy from people in this community. Not to say ammo sellers are not, patriots, but just get a go-to and keep it going. And I think that people tend to spend so much time and energy on the internet trying to find, $2 or less for 1,000 rounds of 5.56 instead of buying 1,000 rounds of 5.56 and then having it come to their door. But anyway, I just wanted to give that kind of quick thing. Shelby, you have a question for Butch.
I do, Butch, and this is a question that I think comes up a lot in the prepping community. How much ammo, if you are a prepper, should you have?
I don't know that there's any set number, but like I've been involved in this sort of thing for a long time, guns and prepping and such, and by no means am I an expert, but like I have this thing where I say, for every gun you have, you should really have like 10,000 rounds. And everybody, they're, well, what are you talking about? 10,000 rounds for every gun. And I mean, it's kind of just a round number, easy to throw out there, but like, sincerely, people, being in the ammo business, I have people that think that buying bulk ammo is like, they're buying a case of 1,000. Like, that's a good range weekend,
Exactly.
Like it's such a small amount, and then over time, finally, I convert some people, and they think that they're buying a bunch, and I say, well, you're not really serious until you're buying it by the pallet. And the guy goes, what do you mean? A pallet? You could really buy it by the pallet? So yeah, so the one guy that I'm friends with, I converted him. He buys it by the pallet now.
Very
exactly.
Cool.
And you save money, it's on hand. It's funny, I think our very first show, we were describing to people what prepping 2.0 is, kind of the idea and why we named it that. And it's, of course, the next level of prepping, the second level of prepping. And I gave some examples, or I think you gave this example, Shelby, and it was, well, prepping 1.0 is buying ammunition by the box, which is 50 rounds usually. And prepping 2.0 is buying it by the case, which is 1,000 rounds. And so you've got that different mindset. Somebody I know, I won't name, he's a character in the book. Actually, I did talk about it in the book. Yeah, by the way, anybody out there who's ever known me and had a conversation with me, in the early 2010s. Odds are that conversation showed up in a book, whether you liked it or not. But and he said, oh, I'm set, man. I have a pistol and I have a box of ammunition, and this is the Brian character in the books. And I said,
oh wow.
I was like, a box, like what, a box that you hold the case in? I mean, what are you talking about here? Anyway, yeah, you got to have that. And you mentioned, Butch, you mentioned a range weekend. I don't know how many times I've said, oh man, I got 1,000 rounds. This will last forever. And then me and the team go out and like we go through tons of ammo. I'll never forget when Special Forces Ted came out one time and we had exactly a case, 1,000 rounds. We were really proud of ourselves between like 5-6 guys. And he's looking around because, I mean, in Special Forces Ted's world, like helicopters like deliver your ammo like on pallets. I mean, it's like out of hand how much.
Yeah, it's like an airdrop.
Exactly. And we were at the range and there were some other Green Berets there. And by the way, when I mean other, I mean Special Forces Ted is a Green Beret. I'm not going to be Mr. Yeah, blah, 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 when I've never done something. And these other guys came out and they were shooting super slick. And of course, they're Green Berets. And this is what they did on the weekends for fun, by the way, was shooting more. And I said something to him like, boy, you guys are just killing it. And he said, well, in fairness, I got to tell you that it was Small Arms Week this week in our training rotation. I said, how many rounds did you personally shoot this week? He started thinking and he goes, probably about 3,000. So that should give you guys an idea of the amount of ammo it takes to be at that level. And it's a goal, by the way. I don't want anyone to come away from this. I know Shelby's shaking her head. She doesn't want anyone to come away from this thinking, I don't have a pallet of ammo. I shouldn't even try. I won't even buy a box. I mean, we're not saying any of that. Do what you can. Start with the boxes, but go into the cases. But just understand that when this gnarliness unfolds, and we talk about what the gnarliness looks like in other episodes. In fact, we have several episodes that are about the triggering events. If it's the kind of stuff we are anticipating, especially the civil disturbance, the social breakdown and that stuff, you're going to need lots and lots of ammo. I mean, firefights are several hundred rounds of ammo, and you might be doing that a couple times a day. And so it's that new mindset we have now, hopefully everyone listening, that prepping 2.0 mindset of how much ammo you're going to need. And you got to think that way. Is anything I'm saying completely erroneous, Butch?
No, I mean, I as I'm sitting here listening, I'm thinking, like, don't be discouraged. You have to start somewhere. So if all you have in your budget is, boxes here and there, then by all means, do that. But buying it by the larger quantities, I mean, guys don't even realize that, the ammunition is great for a gunfight, but it's also a mechanism for bartering. So, guaranteed your neighbor who, didn't prep as well as you is going to need some ammo, and you're going to need something he's got. I mean, it's a really good means for bartering, which I'm sure you guys have talked about ad nauseum. So, I'll leave it at that.
Well, we'd love for you to talk more about it because we think it's a big topic. It's one of the things Shelby had on our list of questions for you is bartering. Let's jump into it. Butch, describe more your thoughts on bartering, because I think it's huge. And I think that even if you're a prepper out there who doesn't have a bunch of ARs and some AKs and you're not the gunfighter kind of prepper, at least you should have ammo for bartering. So elaborate on that.
Sure. I mean, it's a portable means of like a currency, and certainly when fiat currency is worthless, ammunition and major staples will be highly coveted items that everybody will want to trade for. What they may have something that you neglected to store, or that you ran out of, or that you're like, hey, that would make my life better. And ammunition is something that everyone is going to need, whether they get in gunfights or whether they need it to hunt small game or whatever. It's going to be highly valuable.
Well, and I'm going to jump in here too. Glenn has done a great job talking about how, especially, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this in the bartering realm, Butch, is 22 being, gosh, I remember back in, it was 2011-12 when 22, the price shot up, everyone freaked out. everyone was trying to get a brick of it because there's this huge run on it, and that's sort of for those of us who remember that, I remember trying to get a box of it at a time because that was what what you just said, it's what my budget could afford. And I am definitely, so I'm going to go off a little bit here. I was definitely what you just described. When I first started getting into specifically handguns, I couldn't afford a case. I could afford a box. So I would buy a box here, a box there, a box once or twice a month when I could afford it based on paychecks, to the point where I could fill an ammo can. And then when I could fill an ammo can, I would then buy another ammo can and start filling it. And I started that way because any ammo is better than no ammo. An ammo case is better than a box. And so absolutely. So don't go thinking everybody got to go out there and spend $4,000 on a pallet. You can start at the $20 level. It's like a pledge feature, I guess. But anyway, so there's that. So talk to me about specifically, I agree with Glenn. I think 22 ammo, if you can get it, it's super cheap, buy a pallet of it and break it up into, like you talk about, it's almost like money, like 10 rounds, 20 rounds of 22.
Yeah, it's like change. It's like change. Like think of, pennies, nickels, quarters, dollar bills, and stuff like that. Exactly. And I am probably the ninth prepper author out of 9 or whatever to have talked about 22 being like change, because I think it's universally accepted. So I don't want to sound like I came up with something brilliant, but it is going to be change. You need some eggs or some antibiotics or something like that, and you need to make change. 22 rounds are like, and I'm making this up, but you get the idea, like nickels. Maybe 9mm rounds are like dimes. 5.56 rounds are like quarters. Maybe like 308 rounds or something like that are like dollar bills. And that's how you can make change. Because we had Joe Jaquint of Patriot Trading Group on, who sells gold and silver and is an amazing guy and all of that. But he was talking about what you don't want to do is have a 1 ounce gold piece that's worth currently about $1,550 and say, hey, I need some eggs. And the guy with the eggs goes, well, I don't have change. Well, now, by the way, the guy with the eggs knows that you've got an ounce of gold and you're probably going to get smoked in about 4 hours, and he's going to take the gold. So you got to have change. And by the way, we talked about this with Joe and gold, and it applies with Butch and ammo. Another reason to have change
denominations.
Thank you, Butch. Thank you. The engineer corrects the lawyer on the English. I love that. No, that's good. But to have denominations is the trading posts. Don't forget, guys, whether it's you individually bartering or whether a community comes together and there's like a trading post kind of thing, there's going to be a need for change. And now, let's say your change, because you've got a ton of 22 long rifle, someone's going to buy your 22 long rifle just to have change. And so think about that. It's not just bartering for eggs. It's like, like you would go to the bank and buy coins or something like that. Well, we have about 30 seconds, Butch. What are some last thoughts you have on bartering with ammo?
I was just thinking that, like, not only 22, like I don't like to rely on 22 because sometimes they're spotty as far as reliability. But I would recommend having a stash of 223, 9mm, 45 that is also great for trading as well, and not just for your personal stash.
Exactly. Well, we're going to have to leave it there, but we're going to pick up this topic and so many others on the other side, on the second segment. So join us. We'll be back in just a moment.
We'll be right back with more of Prepping 2.0 with authors Shelby Gallagher and Glenn Tate right after this.
Hi, this is Glenn Tate. I wanted to let you know about the ammo supply place that I go to. There's no endorsements. Nobody's paying me anything. They're just good guys. Ammo Supply Warehouse. Ammo Supply Warehouse. Butch out there will take care of you. Prepping 1.0 is getting ammunition by the box. Prepping 2.0 is getting a case. You need to have at least a case of ammo for every gun.
Shelby Gallagher here. For all the ladies out there, you can never have enough ammo.
PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Looking to meet other like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own prepper group? Already have a group? Join PrepperNet.com. PrepperNet has gathered the biggest names in the industry to help unite preppers everywhere. Join John Jacob Schmidt, Scott Hunt, Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy, Glenn Tate, Shelby Gallagher, Charlie Hogwood, Samuel Culper, Survivor Jane, Rick Austin, Franklin Horton, Ryan Mitchell, and Brian Duff. Our team is united. Check us out at PrepperNet.com. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. PrepperNet.com.
Hi everyone, Glenn Tate here.
And Shelby Gallagher here. People always ask us whether a particular property would be good for prepping.
Well, luckily there's someone who does this for a living, and that's Brian at Strategic Landscape Design. He's a bug-out location consultant for a new property or the one you already have.
Strategic Landscape Design shows you how to make your property productive for you now and when the collapse comes. Visit strategiclandscapedesign.com and see all the things Brian can do for you and your property. That's strategiclandscapedesign.com.
And we're back with more of Prepping 2.0 with authors Glenn Tate and Shelby Gallagher.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Shelby Gallagher at Prepping 2.0 with our awesome guest, Butch with Ammo Supply Warehouse, right?
Yes.
Yep. Hey, guys.
Hey, how are you doing?
She's so messed up on coffee, listeners. She's out of her mind right now, so she's making all kinds of crazy mistakes. Keep going though; it's entertaining.
Oh my goodness! And so we are broadcasting from the cabin, the actual cabin. I have to clarify here: our dog Maddie is here with us, so you might hear like toenails on the floor or a little yip.
It's not
They're
my
not
unclipped
Glenn,
toenails.
and nor are they Butch. So she's sitting here in my face, kind of wanting me to pet her. And I'm like, well, stop it. Anyway, so we just had the great conversation before we had to take a break with Butch about how to use 22 to barter in a collapse situation, and we want to continue that. So Butch, we were talking about how it may not be the only caliber that you want to have, so let's continue that conversation.
Well, as I was saying, as far as 22 goes, I would try to amass a collection of ammo that I think that other people might need or want, the very common stuff like 9mm, 45 ACP, 223, 7.62 by 39, stuff that other people, if you think about bartering like a customer, as I said, think about what someone else is going to want or need, and then they're going to be willing to trade whatever they have for that. So even if you don't have a gun in that caliber, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of that around in order to make bartering easier or more in your favor or more in your interest.
Think of and I love how your analogy did this. If you're looking to store ammo for bartering later on, think of yourself as like a gun store does. A gun store doesn't just stock the ammo that they have firearms in. They stock the ammo that customers want. And I love that. Yeah, keep going with that. That was a great analogy.
Yeah, you're bartering. It's like you're kind of running a store almost, and that the people that you barter with are customers, and you kind of got to give them what they want or what they are going to need. So looking into the future and saying, hey, what are the common calibers? And you may not shoot that. It'd be wise to just have a little bit of that around, because you never know what opportunities it's going to present for you.
And let me throw this in here too. This is firearms and ammo is I'm just going to say it, and I talk about it in my books. It is a male-dominated world. I get it. But I will say this. There's a world of women out there who buy their handgun because they want to conceal carry, because they want to protect themselves, and then they store just enough ammo, maybe a box or two or 4 of ammo for that firearm, so that they can, when they go practice once a month, they'll use a box and then they'll refill. They just keep enough. So this message is for them as well. Think about getting more ammo for not just your firearm, but more ammo for bartering. There's a lot of women out there that do that in the women's self-defense world. What are your thoughts on that? Let me ask you that.
On the women in the self-defense, or women women and how they stockpile. That's what I see. I see women just having enough for their practice and just to carry. I don't see them stockpiling it. I don't see them trying to get a case. I don't see them going to gun shows and buying pallets of ammo. Do you? Not really. I mean, I mostly see even the prepping world, and it's, I don't want to say it's male dominated,
Right.
but I would say most women that I encounter, are relying on their husband or their boyfriend or their dad or their, whatever male role model figure they have in their life. Oh well, they take care of that. And they kind of don't worry about it. And, I push the self-reliance, to everybody, man, woman, child, whatever, whatever you can do to make yourself self-reliant, the better.
Well, here's a question for you, Butch. We were kind of touching on it when Shelby mentioned pistols and sort of the self-defense stuff. There's two kinds of ammo. There's regular target, ball, regular ammo, and then there's defensive ammo. What are your thoughts about defensive ammo? Describe what that is, and then how much people should have of defensive ammo compared to regular ammo.
Well, to touch on what we were talking about in the break, we were talking about like 22 and it being a good means for barter and such. And I said, 22 is great, but I would never trust my life to it, and that I would never use it as like a means for like defensive, because a lot of times it's real finicky. So I think that that's where we started off on that. And not that 22 is bad, but I would never I would never use it for something that my life depended on. If that's all I had, well then of course that would change things. But as far as the defensive ammo goes, I'm on the 9mm camp with the ballistics that you're seeing out of defensive 9mm rounds these days. Or I mean, there's no reason to not shoot 9mm, and the defensive rounds are exceptional. I always tell people come in and they'll order like one box of like whatever the recommended brand of defensive ammo, and they load one magazine and they put it in their gun and they carry it around. And I tell them, like, whenever I sell defensive ammo, I try to push a second box, because I want you to fill your magazine with that and take it out, and I just want you to do a mag dump with it, and I want to make sure it needs to function flawlessly in your gun. And I'm sorry, but there's times when not every ammo works in every gun, and if you don't test it, the time to not test it is when you're in defense of your life. People are like, oh, it's so, it's $1 a round, and hey, what's your life worth? I mean, go ahead and just buy one box of it, and like, I'm not your mom, but when it comes down to it, I tell people, run at least one magazine of the ammo that you're going to carry, and make sure that it functions flawlessly. I mean, if you don't, you're really only just hurting yourself.
Not only is everything you said true, I would add to that, another reason to do a mag dump with your defensive ammo is peace of mind. You trust. I have a couple pistols that I've shot and the ammo hasn't worked, and I've been able to switch out the ammo, and then the ammo works, and then I'll actually carry it. Because I have this mental thing where if a gun or the ammo in the gun doesn't work flawlessly as a self-defense matter, it's weird in my mind. Maybe I'm the only one who does this. There's like 100th of a second delay in my thinking as I'm drawing. I'm like, it's funny. I'm talking to myself, hey, is this really going to work? Is there really going to be a bang when I pull this trigger? And that is 100th of a second that you don't need in your head. And it's very easy to solve that with defensive ammo. And there's defensive pistol ammo we've been talking about, 9mm. And you're right. All the advantages of 40, I think, have been taken over by really good 9mm ammo. The difference in ballistic energy and all that other stuff is like pretty minimal between regular 40 and good defensive, hollow points and premium powders and all that stuff, which is in defensive stuff.
Sure.
What do you think about getting defensive ammo for rifles like 5.56, critical defense, Hornady critical defense 5.56, for example? Because my theory is defensive ammo is a really good idea for pistols, given that you need every ounce of extra power you can get out of a pistol. But with rifles, probably less so unless you're on a SWAT team, because that starts to get spendy, defensive rifle ammo.
Yeah, it does get a little pricey. As far as, I guess I like to keep some of the ballistic tip Hornady SST rounds around for like 223 or 7.62 by 39. They're kind of the ballistic tip stuff is is kind of devastating out of a rifle. So if you're in your bug out situation, and as far as if you're using your rifle for defense, then the SST rounds are great. That ballistic tip type of ammunition.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess because if you're using a rifle for defensive purposes, home defense purposes, it's kind of like a pistol in the sense that it's defensive. So spend another $1 a round and get the really good stuff for that one time when you might actually need it.
Yeah, like if you load up a magazine or two of it, you buy a couple of boxes of it. I mean, you're not blasting it off at the range. That's for you're not training with it. That's for sure.
Exactly. Well, good stuff. Shelby has a question for you.
So in all of this, we've talked about all the ammo that we're going to stockpile because we're going to be ready in a collapse. Tell us, and I think this is so important. I think people lose the focus on this a little bit. Storage of ammo. It is important because you can mess up your ammo. So tell us about that.
Well, I think that the thing you really want to avoid is the big temperature swings, because that'll cause condensation, inside whatever container that you have. If you go from hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold, you're going to have issues. So, I mean, we try to hold like around a 46% humidity, for storage of the ammo, here. To make sure that nothing happens, while it's here before it gets to you guys. But like, if you take your stuff and you keep it in an ammo can, and maybe throw in one of those little desiccant packets or whatever. I mean, they store for a long time. I mean, unless you're talking about burying it underground or whatever. But if you're keeping it in like a cool, dry, dark area, I mean, that's your ideal set of circumstances for storing your ammo.
Very good.
And it would probably last for decades if you put it in an ammo can with or without a desiccant, and you just kept the temperature pretty stable, right? We're not talking like months or years, right? Decades.
Yeah. I mean, like longer, even longer than decades. It's I don't want to say it's infinite, but I mean, it'll outlive. You could find ammunition that's still viable that is, that'll outlive you for sure.
I had a friend whose, I think, grandpa was a World War II vet and still had a box of GI issued 45 ACP, like the old GI box. I mean, it looked like a C ration kind of thing. And so it's 75 years old. And grandpa put that in his 1911, fired flawlessly. So that'll give you an idea of the time we're talking about here. Let's see. Oh, and storage of ammo. Another, I don't know, myth. It might be a myth or not. You can tell us. Is that if you're storing a lot of ammo, it's a good idea to take it out of the boxes and just put it loose in an ammo can. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the cardboard kind of attracts humidity or absorbs humidity. I mean, there's a plus or there's a pro and con, I guess, to everything. Then you could say, all right, well, when it's in the factory packages, they don't touch each other, which is better for storage. I don't know. I'm not a scientist when it comes to that stuff. I mean, personally, I store it, and however it comes from the factory. I don't really, I don't take my ammo and for my personal stuff, take it and put it in ammo cans and then let it sit. I mean, all my stuff is in factory packages, and I've never once had an issue ever, not once.
Yeah, and my thing on that is I think it's not imperative to take it out of the cardboard boxes. And of course, sometimes there's styrofoam. I do it, though. I take it out of the boxes to get more stuff crammed in an ammo can. And
sure.
It's easy, by the way. You don't have to count. I mean, you can if you want. But just go on the interwebs, as the kids call it, and there'll be something like, how many 5.56 rounds fit in a 50 cal ammo can, and it'll say, whatever it is, about 1,200. So if you fill it up, you can just put on your painter tape. I'm just kidding. That's a little thing. It's like, how do you mark your ammo cans? Big debate on that. Oh, hours and hours of argument on the internet about that.
Oh, really? Is that a hot button?
Oh, yeah. No, that's instead of actually buying ammo and training with it, people, I think, get on the internet and they obsess about how to label their ammo cans. But anyway, is that you could just say, yeah, it's about 1,200, and you got it, and then you got a rough count. You know what I mean? And then I just
Sure.
throw on painter's tape, 5.56, 1,200 rounds in a 50 cal can, and then maybe something like, if there's some special attribute of that ammo, maybe it's like wolf ammo, and I label it as such because I'm just going to use it for range kind of training stuff. I'm not going to use it for, anything else. So yeah, everyone's got their own thing on the storage of ammo. But yeah, why have a bunch of ammo and then store it improperly? But the myth busting we did is that, if you have some ammo and you like sneeze on the box, it's going to like go bad in 6 weeks. I mean, that's just not the case.
Especially if you buy, good quality ammo to begin with. I mean, a lot of times you buy stuff and it's got a sealed primer cup and a sealed neck, which makes it store even longer. So, then that's protecting your powder inside from getting moisture.
Very good. So let me ask you this, and I say this, Butch, because I started my world of arming up and carrying about the same time that there was the about 2010 to 2012, when there was a shortage of ammo, when it was hard to get the fire. I carry a SIG 380. That was extremely expensive at the time. It ticks me off that same firearm now is half the price, because there was the political culture was affecting not just the ammo business, the firearm business. So talk about that a little bit, where we have historically these runs on ammo, and because of policies and government policies that are happening. Tell us about that. Give us the inside scoop, Butch.
Well, the funny, reflecting back, I can say that one of the best days in business that, we've been in business, I think 8 years now. One of the single best days that we ever had was when, a couple of years ago, when the government decided they weren't going to sell the military, they were going to destroy the military brass. There was that going on, instead of selling it back to the commercial market. And then also there was they were going to stop allowing M855 for sale. They were going to ban the sale of it. So in one day, everything that we had that was the green tip SS109 M855 sold in one day, I think, or 2 days, and that's how quick. And I think nationwide, everybody that had an opportunity went out and bought whatever they could, and it literally was in 2 days, and you couldn't find any in the country. And if you did, I mean, then there was the people that were capitalizing on it.
Yep.
And I said capitalizing, not gouging, because it's gouging is for water, things that are essential to life. There were people that were capitalizing and selling it for more money. It was whatever the market would bear. So the price was, almost doubling overnight. And there's been runs on, since I've been doing this, there was the run on 9mm, went up to like $700 a case. The run on 22, that was, you're talking $800, $900 a case in some instances for 22, where now it's, less than 200 for the cheap stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's been several runs on different. 380 was another one that it was astronomical, and
yep.
And you're like, what? I don't even understand. I mean, the cost of manufacture is not that, it hasn't gone up. And it's just supply and demand. It's just
yes.
Supply and demand. That's it. Simple.
So I remember, and this is just me remembering back, again, around that same time, 2010 to 12, when it was coming out, and again, this is a prior administration, but there was a huge government stockpiling happening of the government, where they're stockpiling all of these ammos that we typically, in other words, these are not military grade. Do you recall that? And do you have any? I've asked people about this. Why were they doing that? And it's factual. I mean, I know it happened, but What was going on with that? Do you know? And if you don't, it's okay. We can move on.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I can speculate just like the next guy. But yeah, I remember that the military was out buying up a bunch of the ammo on the commercial market. And it's funny because there's companies that all they do is supply government entities. And meanwhile, here's the government and the government agencies buying up the stuff. And driving up prices and drying up the supply on the commercial market. So yeah, I mean, it drove whatever their reasoning was. It drove prices up for sure.
It did. It was weird, and there's still no we can't even look back and historically say what happened. We don't know. It's
a lot of people don't even really remember it. I mean, it was kind of like I remember when it happened. It was a hot button, but now it's like a blip. And people don't even really talk about it.
I want to say it was Department of Homeland Security, and I may have my numbers wrong. It was, off the top of my head, 30 billion with a B rounds. And I remember thinking, oh, that's 10 pistol rounds for everybody that lives in the United States. That seems like a lot. And it was 40 caliber, which is what, of course, a lot of law enforcement agencies use, or at least used at the time. And see, but here's the thing, and you can elaborate on this, the supply chain. When DHS buys 30 billion rounds, that means 30 billion, for example, pistol primers. And they're kind of interchangeable. There's large, small, medium, whatever there is of pistol primers. But you take 30 billion pistol primers out of the supply chain to now fulfill this order, and there aren't those primers for like Joe Blow's 9mm. So talk about how all these components are done in runs and lots, and the machining and the retooling that's needed to switch back and forth. I mean, this is fascinating, and this explains in a lot of my mind how there would be these runs. And we have about 5 minutes in the regular show, but I'm sure we'll keep talking about this in the after show for Patreons.
Okay, awesome. Well, I mean, I'm not really on the manufacturer side, but I can, there's been some stories that have been relayed to me by, I'm friends with the owner, the third largest ammo manufacturer in the world, and they're out of the Philippines. But anyway, he would tell me that they would have supply issues. Like, he would have all the components, he had brass and he had projectiles, but he couldn't find powder anywhere. And literally, they're going around the world trying to find the right powder to load. So here, like, production completely stopped. And they couldn't load any 223 or 5.56 until they came across a stash of powder. And I mean, they're buying huge amounts of it. Of course, if somebody has a barrel, that isn't really going to change anything for them. But trying to find a particular component, and when there's shortages, it's you cease production. You're not making any money. I mean, you got all this stuff laying around. You got salaries to pay, and excuse me, and and the machines just stop running because they can't get a particular component.
And then for the rest of us, as we're trying to go to a dealer and buy something, and we see on your website out of stock across the board, and we go into a place where we can buy ammo and you can't. I'm not going to lie, someone who doesn't try to panic, it engenders a little panic amongst the consumers in that of those products. So there was a little bit of a panic back in 2012.
Yeah, and then you see, and then Gunbroker starts to become the place to go to buy your ammo because, well, you can't find it anywhere online. None of your local stores have it, and then all of a sudden it starts popping up on Gunbroker, and you're saying to yourself, well, I don't want to get stuck with nothing. So you'll go out and you'll spend twice as much on a case of it or what have you, and at least you're kind of buying yourself a little bit of security. But then when prices come back down, people get pissed where they're like, oh, I spent twice as much and I didn't need to. Well, you kind of look at it like insurance. It's like an insurance policy, you had it and you didn't need it, but at least you had it. So
exactly.
It's tough to try to avoid that panic buy, because even myself, like as the owner, I start looking around like, oh, where can I buy this? And like when 22 was ridiculous, I went around and I was trying to find it wherever I could. I was buying, like, we had a certain allotment that we would get from the one company, and then I would literally go to the other people that I knew that would get this, and I would go and offer to buy it, and I would pay more than what they paid for it, and they didn't even take possession of it yet, and they would just have it shipped right to our place. Like they were making money for nothing. I mean, at the time, I think I had like 23 pallets of 22. Like when there was a big, when we were having the 22 scare, and I went around and just bought whatever I could, because the market would bear it.
Right.
And people were still buying it, even at those ridiculous prices. So I didn't mind paying a guy a premium for it, because I would still be able to make our measly margin. But it kept the customers happy.
Absolutely.
If you had something that they wanted, they would get excited and they would buy it, and also buy some other things, hopefully.
Well, and I will add this too, as we're talking here, our dog Maddie is agreeing with you, and she's there's actually a dog outside that's howling at her, and she's getting all amped up. But anyway, thank you so much. We kind of have to wrap it up here. I'm going to say thank you to those who are our show listeners for joining us, and we encourage people to come find you. Butch, where can they find you?
We have an East Coast and a West Coast website, and you can access both of them by going to ammosupplywarehouse.com, and then choose whatever side of the country you're on. We ship out of Nevada and out of Pennsylvania, so we really can do 1 to 2 days shipping to the entire country. So yeah, ammosupplywarehouse.com. and get you set up on there, and we keep them guns fed for you.
Awesome.
And we're going to keep you for the after show that Patreons get to listen to. Shelby, take us out.
Everyone have a great week. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
You've been listening to Prepping 2.0 with authors Shelby Gallagher and Glenn Tate. All of the fun and easy prepping information heard on this podcast can be found online at prepping2-0.com. You can also find out more about Glenn's books online at 299days.com and about Shelby's books online at agreatstate.com. Until next time, be smart, be safe, and be prepared.